Hi, I'm Justin Moran and I've had over 20 years experience as a personal trainer. Today's video is designed to give you a general overview on how to use the equipment on the Level 10 Freshwater Place gym. Should you require any specific exercise guidance, design program or otherwise related to your actual background, your posture or your injury history, it's probably best that you go and actually seek out some form of personal trainer or exercise specialist, because they'll be able to design something specifically for your needs. Again, I'll stress that this video is designed to give you a general overview on how to use the gym. When entering the gym, there are many pieces of exercise equipment at your disposal to incorporate into your workout. You'll notice that there's obviously fitness and aerobic machines, and then there's the whole multitude of machines for weights purposes, dumbbells, Swiss balls, and all those other pieces of equipment that you can incorporate into your workout. It's super important though that you know how to use those pieces of equipment or performing your exercises correctly to make sure that you get the most out of your time spent in the gym in a safe and efficient manner. As we now move into the weight section of the gym, you will notice that there are 12 pin-loaded pieces of equipment and 2 other weights or resistance machines. We're now going to show you how to use those pieces of equipment. With all of the pin-loaded equipment, you will notice that when setting a weight, we pull out this little yellow lever and it gets placed into either pounds or kilograms. Find the hole that you would like, for example 65 pounds, push that all the way in, and if you want the 65, ensure that this side lever is left out and hanging. If however you'd like to go up in a 5 pound increment, that would make us 70 pounds, 75 pounds, or increase one whole weight plate and we have 80 pounds. So please ensure the placement of the pins is 100% pushed in, and then you're done and ready to go with all of these pieces of equipment. In my experience, there are many pieces of equipment and exercises that are performed in a dangerous and unsafe manner where you are putting yourself at an increased chance of injury, if not in the short term, but definitely in the longer term. And it's very important that you make sure that you perform all weights related exercises in a slow, controlled fashion where the focus is on breathing and moving through the motion to get the most out of your exercise that you're performing. The lat pull down is one such example where I see repeated movement patterns that are very, very unsafe for your intended area that you're focusing on, being your upper back and your latissimus dorsi to be exact. So really vital that you make the most out of slow, controlled movements. With the leg extension, using it for the first time, you'll need to probably sit down on the seat first to help find the right back position in accordance with where your knee should sit. You'll notice that there is a red knob here that should be in line with your knee. So the next part we need to ensure is the back position must be set by moving the yellow lever to a position that allows you to sit up and find the right spot with the number on the back there that coincides with the knee. Once we've found that position, we will then move down to this yellow lever down here. Now we're trying to move this shin pad to sit at a comfortable position on the front of your leg. You'll notice there is an S, M or an L, and find the position that just makes you feel comfortable for you to perform the extension part of the movement. Once you've selected the weight, and then we want to kick these legs up and bring them back to their starting position, the movement is based around the quad muscle primarily, extending to a slightly bent position at top and then taking it back down that the weights don't touch. If we can keep a gap of about that much, we've made the repetition. So that would be 1 rep, keep it slow, and up, 2, and so forth. With what's called the seated leg curl, we need to ensure that we first of all take a seat. It's probably one of the hardest ones to get right in positioning. When we first sit down, there'll be a big gap between here and here. What we first must do is move ourselves in to put our legs up and above, and then taking this lever, pushing it in, and moving from an open position to a locked position. We want the red knob here to align with the knee axis and be seated and comfortable. We also have a front lever that we'll play around with in a minute, but meanwhile at the back there's a seated lever there to move your back support forward for someone shorter or back for someone a little taller. So then the last lever that we want to play around with here is this front yellow one that moves S, M and L. M is the position we've got here that sits on the back of the calf, bracing our abdominals, back straight, shoulders back, holding onto the levers. We pull that back, working the back of our leg being our hamstring, and obviously with a weight that you've set that is according to your strength. With the leg press, we need to basically come up and sit ourselves up with our feet on the pads, up and steady. We then want to use the yellow lever there, which is a hydraulic sort of pull push thing, and move the seat forward if you're shorter, further back if you're taller, and find the position for you that allows you to get the optimal positioning for your feet to sit up and then extend out. And as we push out here, again selecting an appropriate weight to a bent knee position, taking it back slowly and push it again. Notice that we do not again want to bang weights. So once we've got ourselves set and we've pushed that in and out, we pretty much want to make sure that the arms are holding on, shoulders are back and straight, abs are braced, and we're working our quads, hamstrings, glutes, and our calves to push that weight through its full range. With the Smith machine, most commonly it's used as a bench press, which we'll show you how to use today. But please note that whatever range of way of using this machine, one thing to note down the bottom is one of these levers can come up and be your safety lever, as I'll show in a second. I'll take the second one up as well. Okay, and what that means is if this happened to fall off, which we unhook the little hooks, if they are dropped, will come down and you're safe should it fall any further if you lose control. If we therefore do this properly, you won't need those safety levers, but they're there and ensures your safety. So in the case of doing it for a bench press, we will reduce these things down as low as we can. And again, there's a safety lever. Safety lever is now removed to the bottom, and then we can set the bar accordingly to what exercise we want to do. As I said, in this instance, it will be to do a bench press or a chest press. Hooks back, bring down, and then load up the weight. So when selecting the bench press or the chest press, we're going to start with a 5 kilo for the purpose of today. Slide that on the bar and then proceed to lie down and set ourselves up ready to perform the movement. Some people prefer to perform this position with their feet on the floor. However, if you have an excessive arch in your back, as I do, that can be exacerbated with a little bit of extra strain through your lower back. So for safety purposes, it will be best to have your feet up on the bench and therefore eliminate that excessive arch in your back. Then try and set yourself up keeping a neutral spine. Hands placed on the bar. We know that there's hooks here currently that are there for safety. The safety ones are down below if required. And then curling back the hooks, we proceed to take the weight down to just above chest level and pushing back up. Now of course I'm here to show Lynn how to do it in this position. If it was yourself just using it on your own, then accordingly that will be how you'd perform the motion. And when you're finished, place it back up on the hooks, and that is one way of using the Smith machine. With the pullover machine, and like all the machines we've used so far, you'll notice that they've got a set of instructions on here, as well as the major muscles worked. So you can get a bit of an overview in that respect there. And don't forget there'll be some QR codes attached where you'll have some video footage that you could watch over on how to do all these machines individually. With the pullover, you'll notice that first of all we want to get the seat height adjusted. You can do that from off the chair, or you could sit down and accordingly move that lever up or down to set the seat height for your positioning. We then also have a foot lever here that will help take the weight off and help you through, which we'll show in a second. But we get a seat belt and adjust that to your position to lock you into the seat. We then put our arms up and above, take the weight off with your foot to bring that up so you're not overstraining up above. Bracing our abdominals, we lock our elbows on the pads here, hands holding onto the bar, and from that position, just pull that down, take the feet off here to take the slack and the weight through your upper body, and then we would lengthen it up and then back down in a very controlled nature. Once again noting there is no need to bang the weights, but use those muscles, and when you're finished, rather than using just the weights of the arms letting go, put your feet back on the lever to take the weight for you and gently bring the feet back up, again noticing the minimisation of any bang and impact that's unnecessary. This piece of machinery has two exercises in one. If you come up and look up here, we've got the rear delt, one part of the exercise, and then the pec fly, the second exercise. To start things off, if you are going to use it for the rear delt, ensure that you set the back lever to the position you'd like to have that up against your back. Then move yourself around. Okay, we then want to make sure that looking up and overhead, we can see that there's a lever here, and we can move that accordingly to where we want it. So up ahead we've got rear delt, a couple of little sections here to line up with. At the back we've got the pec fly positions. So this little pin, as we've just done, pulls in and allows you to find the right spot. To work the rear delt, we then take the weight.
Well, actually there's this one just.
And we set ourselves up, we set our foot positioning there. We take the weight off and onto the arms here, which we've set, and we push out to work in behind our rear delts. And then we push it back out again. And once again, if we can, we want to make sure that when we bring it forward, we don't let the weights bang. We keep control, we sit tall, and then we complete that movement. So now we're going to go with the pec fly. So for this part, we're trying to execute and move the chest area. So to do this, once again, taking the yellow lever from behind the seat, adjust that by squeezing and moving it back or forth to find the right back position. Once that's selected, sit down. We've got the foot positioning set down below here using the foot lever, and find the right spot you want there. Then sitting up, looking underneath to find the right hole, and you're better off starting by squeezing that in, actually starting back behind where you want to be, so that when you're extending out here, the weights don't bang when you release the weight to its starting position. Then if we can come back to pretty much a nice position of there, with the head back and straight, and we always try and bring that in and release it out without the weights clunking or banging, and control that movement, and that is the pec fly. This is the vertical chest, otherwise known as a chest press. To use it, set the seat height accordingly, find your spot, have a seat, and you've got two options with your hand positioning. One in the true sense of what would be with the bench press, pushing out through your chest line, like as if this was a barbell. Always go back, but never past your chest, and don't therefore let the weights touch, and control the movement through there. The other option is to release that, take your hands down, and some people prefer to come in and under and execute the same movement. Take your pick, but ensure that you're working your pec or chest area, and that's that one. What we've got here now is the lateral raise. First up, set the seat height according to your height. Have a seat, get yourself set, and holding onto these little levers here that are variable in movement pattern. Elbows and forearms up on the inside of the pads, sitting up nice and tall with your abs braced, and we just execute a movement of raising up to get our deltoids and shoulders, and control that down again to a point where preferably the weights don't touch, so you're keeping your muscle on stretch. This apparatus or machine has a lot of different opportunities to exercise on it. So we're not going to demonstrate any specific exercises, and it's probably in your best interests, if you do want to use it, to see an exercise specialist or personal trainer. But please don't just use it copying others that you see using it in the gym or from your past experience, as often people do things too fast and give your opportunity of injury a lot more increased chance, which it's just not safe, so be careful. In using it though, there's a couple of opportunities to using the arm pads there to rest them up and do some exercise from that position. Others move around and using the two bar levers here set themselves up generally for some tricep or core ab related movements, and then using the little foot bar there if required, we've got the opportunity of using some again upper body chin up type motions and or core related movements as well. But that's pretty much the three positions that you will use this machine for. But please don't just take liberty of going and choosing what you want to do on there, because unless you've had some guidance, there's a chance of injury. With the bicep curl machine, there's a couple of things that we need to look at first. These little levers here flex forward and back, and we'll keep that there. We have a red dot that we want our bicep muscle to get the most out of by allowing our elbow to line up in line with that. To get that position right, we often will need to find the right position with this lever here and move it forward or backwards to get your back position to help you find the right spot for the axis of your elbow to come up and down from. So once we've set that position, we then need to have a seat. There's a seat height lever down on the right side near where the weights are. You'll adjust that accordingly and move it up or down depending on your height. Grabbing onto the lever there as such, and we then pull it up and release, and working the bicep muscle. And it's quite simple really. Abs braced, shoulders back. Done. Here we have the tricep extension machine. When we want to set ourselves up here, we have a yellow lever at the back to adjust the seat backing, forward or back, to again find a spot where the red knob sits in line with our elbow, and the axe is there to allow our arm to go back and forth from. We then set ourselves up. We also have a seat lever to move that up or down depending on your height, and then these little parts with the arm hold there will flex a little bit, and once you're ready, bring your elbow down onto the pad, push the weight up, and that's the tricep extension, and taking it back and pushing forward again. You'll notice that we're trying to target the tricep muscle and then safely leave those there, and that's how to use the tricep extension. Here we have what's known as either the compound row, as it's named here, or commonly known as the seated row. There are no levers other than the arm pulling ones, so you sit yourself on the bench and move yourself forward or backwards once you've taken the weight. You want to have a slight bend, flex knee position, sitting up really tall. Abs braced, neutral spine, shoulders back and down, head and chin in a nice neutral straight position, and then pulling the weight in from there through to there. You'll notice she comes out with a slight bend in the elbow, back to an extension there where we're trying to get the shoulder blades back, and repeat that movement. This machine is simply titled abdominal. What it's trying to do is it's a machine-based abdominal curl to execute and get exercise for our abdominal area. Sitting in here, there's a yellow lever down by the side that again we move and adjust according to height. We then set ourselves up with our feet in and behind the little black levers to lock in there. Abs braced, shoulders back with good posture, holding on with our elbows on the padding, hands up above our head, and we then forward movement of our body come through to crunch our abdominals, namely our rectus abdominis, and taking that back out nice and slow. And we'll do one more of those. And that's how we work the abdominal machine, or again execute an abdominal curl. This machine can be used in a couple of ways as well. Most people use it for the lat pull down, and that's how we'll demonstrate that today. It's probably one of the most commonly ones performed poorly by 80% of the people using gyms. So I'm going to show you how to do it properly today, but please be careful of a couple of notes on how to move and use the pieces that we've got to connect to it. This one's the most common used, and you can see one's already up there. I've got this one to put in there, which I'll show you in a second, and behind me I have a rope with a little connection piece. I have one of these heavy pieces, which if left here and the weight pulled out, can sometimes come crashing down and could hit you or someone in the head. So please be very mindful that this is probably one of the most dangerous pieces in the gym here. So be warned that when using it, it's very heavy and it must be used very safely. So I'll put this back at the moment and show you how to use the hook setup. So in getting these hooks operational, we need to open them up, place the piece on, and we're set. Okay? To then sit down and do a lat pull down, this is how it should be performed. There is a leg piece here that we can see can be used to come down low and lock you in, or it can be used up top and allowed to be not involved at all. You can choose the way you choose to use that, and then having a seat, we grab those two handles. Now as you can see, there are cable motion through to the weight, and that then pulls down. We want to set ourselves up with a neutral spine, shoulder blades down, otherwise known as depressed, and we want to retract our scapula or shoulder blades together. From this position, we keep our head back and straight, and we take the weight up to a slight bend in our elbows. We pull it back down to somewhere between nose and chin level generally in this motion, and then raise it back up again. That gets the most activation of your lats and other back muscles, and therefore getting the most out of your movement. If you do it slow and controlled, it minimises the chance of any neck stress or injury, and I may as well add it in that 80% of the population are overactive in their upper traps. So we'll do this back up, and in releasing, please stand up, gently lower the weight, and that's how we perform just one of many movements that can be performed on here. That being the lat pull down in that way. If I wanted to use one of these two, I'll just show you how to connect. Taking off this one, taking this one, and that can be used. As stated, this heavy one goes on, and from that position there, that can be pulled down and used. The problem, as I've said before, is that some people come over here and take the weight out first, and if you notice, that'll come down and potentially could knock you on the head or do some damage. So just be very careful. So thank you for watching this video, and I hope it's been of some benefit to you and will allow you to safely do your workouts in the level 10 gym and now know how to use the machines in a very general nature. Should you require any further advice or assistance in using the machines, remember that there is now going to be a little QR code attached to each machine that if you happen to download the QR reader on your phone, you'll be able to go up and swipe that, and then that will give you a little video footage on how to use each piece of equipment while you're in the gym in real time and away from your computer, and therefore refine how to use each piece of machinery. Thanks and good luck.